Thierry Henry has just delivered a brutal reality check to Real Madrid, completely mocking the Spanish giants after their catastrophic Champions League exit at the hands of Bayern Munich. The legendary French striker did not hold back in his assessment, tearing into Álvaro Arbeloa's squad for their shocking lack of intelligence and exposing the harsh truth behind their dramatic collapse at the Allianz Arena. The footballing world is still reeling from the chaotic scenes in Germany, where Bayern Munich secured a thrilling 4-3 victory on the night, progressing to the semi-finals with a 6-4 aggregate win. While much of the post-match discourse has been dominated by the controversial red card shown to Eduardo Camavinga, Henry was quick to dismiss the inevitable complaints from the Real Madrid fanbase, shifting the focus entirely onto the player's own catastrophic shortcomings. Speaking with his trademark analytical precision, Henry dismantled the narrative that Real Madrid were somehow victims of poor officiating. He anticipated the wave of excuses that would inevitably flood social media, predicting that fans would cry foul over Camavinga's second yellow card, labeling it a disgrace and claiming the referee was biased. However, the former Arsenal and Barcelona star offered zero sympathy for the Spanish side, insisting that their downfall was entirely self-inflicted. "But you have to understand it," Henry stated emphatically, delivering a masterclass in European football psychology. "When you're playing away at the Allianz Arena, you don't give the referee a single reason to make a decision. You have to be smarter than that." This scathing critique highlighted a fundamental lack of on-field intelligence from a team that prides itself on its Champions League pedigree, suggesting that Real Madrid simply lost their heads in the most crucial moment of their season. If you want to stay updated on all the latest Champions League fallout, expert tactical analysis and brutal post-match reactions from legends like Thierry Henry, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The European landscape is shifting dramatically, and you won't want to miss a single moment of the drama as these massive clubs fight for supremacy. Henry's analysis went far beyond the red card incident, delving deep into the tactical and psychological collapse that defined Real Madrid's second-half performance. He painted a vivid picture of a team that had grown dangerously complacent, lulled into a false sense of security by their early dominance. "You see Real Madrid completely destroying them in the first half with Güler and Mbappe," Henry observed, "and everyone at home thinks that the comeback is already complete." This arrogant assumption proved to be their ultimate undoing. Henry described how Bayern Munich emerged from the halftime interval with renewed purpose, ruthlessly exploiting their numerical advantage after Camavinga's dismissal. The French legend used a brilliant metaphor to illustrate the sheer dominance of the German champions, stating that they turned the pitch into a washing machine and suffocated them completely. It was a tactical masterclass from Bayern and a humiliating lesson for a Real Madrid side that had completely lost control of the tie. The final nail in the coffin came deep into stoppage time, courtesy of a moment of absolute brilliance from Michael Olise. Henry was effusive in his praise for the young winger, marvelling at the sheer audacity and execution of his 94th minute strike. And that shot by Michael Olise in added time to make it 4-3 for Bayern and bury the tie definitively. "What a goal!" Henry exclaimed. He highlighted the incredible mental fortitude required to produce such a finish under immense pressure, noting that showing that level of icy composure against Real Madrid in the 94th minute is special. But Henry saved his most brutal assessment for his concluding remarks, delivering a devastating blow to Real Madrid's carefully cultivated aura of invincibility. For years, Los Blancos have built their entire identity around their miraculous European comebacks, cultivating a belief that they are never truly beaten in this competition. Henry, however, took immense pleasure in watching that myth shatter in Munich. Real Madrid thought they were the undisputed kings of the comeback, he declared. But tonight, Bayern gave them a brutal taste of their own medicine. This scathing critique from Henry was strongly echoed by his compatriot and fellow World Cup winner, Emmanuel Petit. While Henry focused primarily on the tactical and psychological aspects of the defeat, Petit took a much more direct approach, questioning the fundamental quality of the players currently representing the famous white shirt. His assessment was equally brutal, suggesting that a significant overhaul is required if Real Madrid are to reclaim their position at the summit of European football. Petit did not mince his words when evaluating the performance of Álvaro Arbeloa's squad at the Allianz Arena. He expressed a deep-seated belief that several individuals within the current setup are simply not equipped to handle the immense pressure and demands of playing for the biggest club in the world. "There are players who don't have the level to play for Real Madrid," Petit stated bluntly, delivering a damning verdict on the club's recent recruitment strategy and squad building. This criticism cuts to the very core of Real Madrid's current crisis. For a club that demands absolute perfection and relentless success, the suggestion that their players are simply not good enough is the ultimate insult. Petty's comments highlight a growing concern among pundits and fans alike that the current iteration of Los Blancos lacks the necessary quality, leadership, and mental resilience to compete with the absolute elite of European football. The former Chelsea and Arsenal midfielder went on to emphasize the urgent need for sweeping changes at the Santiago Bernabeu. He argued that the current squad is fundamentally flawed, lacking the necessary ingredients to navigate the treacherous waters of the Champions League knockout stages. They have to change to be able to win this type of game, Petit insisted, laying down a massive challenge to the Real Madrid hierarchy ahead of the upcoming summer transfer window. The combined criticism from Henry and Petit paints a deeply troubling picture for Real Madrid. This is not simply a case of a team suffering an unlucky defeat or falling victim to a controversial refereeing decision. According to these two legendary figures, this was a comprehensive failure on every conceivable level: tactical, psychological, and individual. The Spanish giants were outsmarted, outfought, and ultimately outclassed by a Bayern Munich side that exposed all of their glaring weaknesses. The fallout from this catastrophic elimination will undoubtedly be severe. Álvaro Arbeloa, who only recently took charge of the first team, now faces the monumental task of rebuilding a shattered squad and restoring the club's battered pride. The pressure on the young manager will be immense, as he must navigate the intense scrutiny of the Spanish media and the relentless demands of the Santiago Bernabeu faithful. The comments from Henry and Petit will only serve to amplify that pressure, providing a constant reminder of the massive task that lies ahead. Their brutal honesty has stripped away the excuses and laid bare the harsh reality of Real Madrid's current situation. The club can no longer rely on their historical aura or their reputation as the kings of the comeback. They must confront their fundamental flaws and make the necessary changes to ensure that a humiliation of this magnitude never happens again. As the dust settles on this unforgettable night in Munich, the footballing world is left to ponder the future of these two European heavyweights. Bayern Munich march on to the semi-finals, their confidence soaring after delivering a statement victory against their greatest rivals. Real Madrid, meanwhile, are left to pick up the pieces of a shattered season, facing a long and difficult summer of introspection and rebuilding. The Champions League is a ruthless competition that punishes weakness and exposes complacency. Real Madrid learned that lesson the hard way at the Allianz Arena, and the brutal mockery from Thierry Henry and Emmanuel Petit serves as a stark reminder of the unforgiving nature of football at the highest level. The kings of the comeback have been dethroned, and the journey back to the top promises to be longer and more difficult than anyone at the Santiago Bernabeu could have ever imagined. The reality of this situation is that Real Madrid's entire philosophy is now under intense scrutiny. The club has always prided itself on assembling a squad of Galacticos, players capable of producing moments of individual brilliance to win matches single-handedly. However, as Henry so astutely pointed out, individual brilliance is no longer enough to succeed in the modern Champions League. The tactical evolution of the game demands a level of collective intelligence and discipline that Real Madrid simply did not possess against Bayern Munich. This lack of collective intelligence was painfully evident in the manner of Camavinga's dismissal. In a high-stakes European knockout tie, discipline is paramount. Henry's assertion that players must not give the referee any reason to make a decision is a fundamental principle of elite-level football. The fact that a player of Camavinga's experience failed to grasp this concept is a damning indictment of the team's overall mentality and preparation. Furthermore, Petty's assertion that certain players lack the required level for Real Madrid raises serious questions about the club's recent transfer policy. While they have continued to invest heavily in young talent, the balance of the squad appears to be fundamentally flawed. The absence of experienced leaders capable of managing the game during difficult moments was glaringly obvious as Bayern Munich seized control of the tie in the second half. The challenge for Álvaro Arbeloa is not just about replacing underperforming players. It is about instilling a new culture of tactical discipline and collective responsibility. The days of relying solely on individual magic are over. If Real Madrid are to reclaim their status as the undisputed kings of Europe, they must learn to suffer together, to defend as a cohesive unit, and to manage the emotional volatility of high-pressure Champions League encounters.